Okay, Year 12, thank you very much for finding your way to this first video. What we should be able to do is I'm going to do 3 videos here, hopefully, for the remainder of the algebra chapter. Now, the first video is going to be on factorising. Now, factorising, as you should know, is the opposite of expanding, which we did today, which means put it into brackets. So if we have a look at the first one, if you've got to factorise 3x plus 9, what we do is we find something that goes into both these bits. So 3 goes into both of them, so we take a 3 outside the brackets, so it's going to be x plus 3. Yeah, I should say that this has got to be in your notes book, but not your exercise one. So if you can make sure this goes into notes, I'd appreciate it. Okay, B. Let's we have a look at this one. So x squared minus 5x. There's no number other than 1 which goes into both of these, but there is a letter, so we can take the x outside. It's going to be x times x makes x squared, and then you've got a minus, and x times 5 makes 5x. So it's going to be x bracket x minus 5. Question C. 8x squared plus 20x. So now we're going to combine what we did in both part A and part B, and there's a number and a letter that goes into both of it. So even though 2 goes into both of these, you've got to find the biggest number. So 4 is the biggest number that goes into it. And also there's an x that goes into both. So we can take the x outside. And then 4x times 2x makes 8x squared, because remember we need to make it x squared. So x times the x will make it x squared. Then plus 4x times something is 20x. So it's the 5 to make it up to 20, but we don't need any more x's. So it's simply that. Okay, question D. We've got 9x squared y plus 15xy squared. So now what we've got to do is we've got to find out what goes into both of them. So if we have a look at the numbers first of all, the biggest number that goes into both these parts is 3, so we take 3 outside the brackets. Now, can we take an x squared out? We've got an x squared here, but we've only got a single x here, so we can only take 1x out. We haven't got 2 x's in both of them. If we then have a look at the y's, we've got a single y here and we've got a y squared here, so we can only take a single y out. It's going to be 3xy we take outside. Now, 3xy times by this first thing here makes 9xy squared. So we're going to start off with a number. So 3 times 3 makes the 9. And we need to multiply it by an x, because at the moment we've only got an x and we need an x squared. So we're going to need to have an extra x in there. But we don't need any more y's because we've got a y here and we've got a y here. So therefore it's just 3x. So 3xy times 3x makes 9x squared y. And do the same process for the next one. So 3 times something makes a 15, so that's going to be a 5. We don't need any more x's because we've only got a single x in the question, and we've got a single x from what we've taken out so far. But we've only got one y, and we need a y squared, so we need to have an extra y in there. So it's going to be 3xy bracket 3x plus 5y. And if you're unsure on that at all, of course, just try checking your answer by multiplying it back out. So 3 times 3 is going to be 9, x times x is going to be x squared, then you've got a y on the end, so that's going to be 9x squared y, which is what we've got here. Again, do the same, so 3 times 5 is going to be 15, there's no other x's, so it's just going to be a single x, and y times y makes y squared. We end up with this as well. Okay, so then let's have a look at question E. So we've got 3x squared minus 9xy. So we have a look, and there's a 3 that goes into both of them. So we take a 3 outside. We can only take a single x out, because even though they've got x squared here, there's only a single x here. So single x here. So we take an x outside. We've got 3x, and then what do we multiply 3x by to get 3x squared? We don't need to multiply by any numbers, because we've got the 3 already. But we do need to have an extra x in there. So 3x times x is going to be 3x squared. Minus, then we've got 3 times something makes a 9. That's going to be 3. We don't need any more x's because we've got 1x here and we've got 1x in the original question, but we do need another y. So it's going to be 3x bracket x minus 3y. Now that's the first bit. That's going to be the basic factorising. And then what we're going to do is when we get into class tomorrow, we're going to have a quick look at some of these questions. And hopefully, because you've gone over this, again, if you're just writing down notes and just pausing the video and writing down notes, that's absolutely fine. But what I would say afterwards is that once you've written down all your notes, go back, watch the video through again, and just to make sure that you're really absorbing everything and that you are happy with everything that we are doing. Because again, it's one thing to just make notes, but it's also got to have the understanding there as well. Now, one thing I'm going to have a look at here is we've got question B, which is x squared minus 5x, and we're going to come back to that on the next page. Because, in fact, they've got an example for question A. Now, this is called factorising quadratics. Now, factorising quadratics is where you've got an x squared, an x, and usually a number. But basically, quadratics mean x to the power of 2, or y to the power of 2, or some letter to the power of 2. Now, usually that means 2 brackets. But here, question A, if we've got 6x squared plus 9x, because we've got no number on the end, it means that there's only going to be 1 bracket. So just like we did last time, we find a number that goes into both of them, which is 3, and we take the x out. So 3x times something makes 6x squared. That's going to be 2x. 3x times something makes 9x. We don't need any more x's, so it's just going to be 3. Now, question B. X squared minus 5x minus 6. Again, this is something that we should be relatively strong with from GCSE. And because we've got an x squared, we've got a number of x's, then we've got a number, that means it's going to be 2 brackets. So we set up our 2 brackets. Then what we do is the first thing, so this times this has got to make x squared. So we're going to stick an x in the front of both. Now the next thing we do is we've got to multiply 2 numbers together to make 6. Ignore the minus for the time being. So if we're going to multiply 2 things together to make 6, it's either going to be 1 and 6 or 2, 3. But then we've got to use either this pair here or this pair here to make a thing in the middle, which is minus 5. But the thing is, we can use both these things to make minus 5. We can have 1, positive 1, take away 6, and that's going to make minus 5x. Or we can have minus 2, take away 3, and that's going to make minus 5x. Let's have a look at both answers. We're either going to have x plus 1, and then x minus 6, or we're going to have x minus 2, x minus 3. Now, one of these answers is correct, and one of these answers is incorrect. Now, what I think most people should be doing is pausing the video, unless you've got the answer already. Pausing the video, having a think about which one do I think is correct, which one isn't correct, and why. And if you're not sure, let's just try multiplying them out. So if we have a look at the bottom one here, I use the smiley face method. So the left eyebrow, x times x is x squared. The right eyebrow, minus 2 times minus 3 is plus 6. Then we've got minus 2x, and in the mouth, we've got minus 3x, which when we simplify is x squared minus 5x plus 6. Now this is where it's incorrect then, because we shouldn't have a plus 6. On question B, we were after a minus 6. And that's because we've got a minus 2 and a minus 3. As you do more and more of these questions, you should find it easier to spot. But yeah, that's what you've got to be really wary of first of all. And then just make sure that this one can work here. So let's get rid of this here and then do the same method. So left eyebrow, x times x is going to make x squared. The right eyebrow, 1 times minus 6 is going to be minus 6, and that's better now. We're looking at that minus 6 again. Then we've got plus 1x plus x, and then minus 6x. Then if we simplify that, x squared, we've got the minus 6, but x minus 6x is going to be minus 5x. We've got x squared minus 5x minus 6, and there we've got our correct answer. Okay, so let's have a look at the next ones. And again, what you need to be doing is pausing the video, taking notes, going back, re-watching it. Because these skills underpin everything else that we do. And again, these are things that hopefully you should have done pretty well in at GCSE, but obviously it's been a long break, so you do need to just make sure that you're okay with it. Question C. X squared plus 6x plus 8. And again, we've got an x squared, we've got a number of x's, and we've got a number, so it's going to be 2 brackets. Now, something times something makes this x squared, so that's going to be x times x. Something times something makes 8, so it's either going to be 1 and 8 or 2 and 4. And there's no shame in just writing down your workings here as well. Now, one of these pairs here, either the 1 and the 8 or the 2 and the 4, is going to add together to make this plus 6x. So, plus 2 plus 4. Now where it gets slightly trickier is when we're doing question D here. Now this is where we're starting to look at like the B grade GCSE or the A grade GCSEs, but really what's going to be in pretty much most questions at A level is being able to factorize this one. So we've got 6x squared minus 11x minus 10. Now the first thing we've got here is the first bit times the first bit is going to make 6x squared. So of course it could be x times 6x to make 6x squared, or it could be 2x times 3x. And there's no way to tell at the moment, so it's going to be trial and error. What I would say is that when you guys do trial and error, it's probably wrong now, but it's usually not the one where it's 1 times the biggest amount, it's usually the one in the middle, so 2 times 3. And then we've got two numbers that multiply together to make 10. So it's either going to be 1 and 10 or 2 and 5. So let's try 2 and the 5 here. And this is how I do the trial and error thing. I won't bother putting in signs at the moment. So if I put the 2 here and the 5 here, 2 times 6x is going to be 12x. X times 5 is going to be 5x. I can't use 12x and 5x to make 11x. Therefore, it's not going to be that way around. So let's try it the other way. Let's try 5 here and 2 here. 5 times 6x is going to be 30x. X times 2 is going to be 2. There's no way we could get 11x from 30x and 2x. So it's not going to be this. Oh no, sorry, we haven't tried 1 and 10 yet. Let's try 1 and 10. But we can see that that one doesn't work either. So let's try 1 and 10. 1 and 10. So we've got 1 times 6x, which is 6x. We've got x times 10, which is going to be 10x. We can't use 6x and 10x to make 11x. It's not going to be that way around. Again, the quicker you get at doing this, the next thing I'm going to do is swap them around. If I put the 10 there and the 1 there, if I do 10 times 6x, that's going to be 60x. Then you've got the x times the 1, which is going to be 1x. I can't use 60x and 1x to make 11x. So that was all just a big, fat waste of time. So let's try 1 and 10 and 2 and 5 on this one down here. So if I put 1 here and I put 10 here, 1 times 3x is going to be 3x. 2x times 10 is going to be 20x. Again, I can't use 3x and 20x to make 11x or make minus 11x. So let's try it other way around. If we put 10 there and 1 there, again, save myself some rubbing out. If I do the 10 times a 3x, that's going to be 30x. If I do 2x times 1, that's going to be 2x. I can't use 30x and 2x to make 11x. So let's just get rid of those. Let's start trying with the 2 and the 5. So if I put 2 here and 5 here, 2 times 3x is going to be 6x. 2x times 5 is going to be 10x. I can't use 6x and 10x to make 11x or minus 11x. So let's try it the other way around, and if this doesn't work, we'll screen. So let's make 5 here and then 2 here. 5 times 3x is going to be 15x. We got 2x times by 2 to make 4x, and hooray, we can use 15x and 4x to make minus 11x. And the way we do that is we need to make sure it's a plus 4x and a minus 15x. So in order to make minus 15x, I need to have a minus 5 times 3x. In order to make a plus 4x, I need to have 2x times a positive 2. And that's it. So eventually, we arrive at our answer. Now, I purposely did it that way to show that it is a trial and error. But the more you get to do this, you'll be able to eliminate things quite quickly. And a rule of thumb, always, if you've got to multiply something together to make 6x squared, don't go for the 1 and something, go for the 2 factors in the middle. Similarly with the 10, most of the time it won't be 1 and 10, it will be the middle ones, 2 and 5. So always try the middle ones first. I'd say 9 times out of 10, it does it that way. Okay, moving on to the last bit of the factorising, question E and question F. Now, as we've seen so far with all the two brackets of factorising, you've got an x squared, you've got something x, and then you've got a number. Now here, we've just got x squared minus 25, so we've got no x in the middle. But it's a special case where there's still two brackets. Now the front again needs to multiply together to make x squared. And now the thing on the end, the 25, they've got to multiply together to make 25. Now the two numbers that multiply together to make 25 are 5 and 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to put 5 there and a 5 there. But notice there's no x's. So if we have a plus 5 here to make plus 5x, to cancel that out, we're going to need to make sure we've got a minus 5, that it's minus 5x. Now I'd say that this is the kind of thing that separates E grade students from C grade students. People that are able to spot the fact that this here is what we call a difference of two squares. And I'll go through why it's called that in a second. But if you can spot that, then you're able to open up a question and do a lot more of the question. Those people that can't spot that's the difference of two squares, you tend to end up getting 0 marks on this part of the question. So we're looking at factorising, and here, factorising means you take out something that goes into both of them. Now here, there's no number that goes into both of them, and there's no letter that goes into both of them, and it's not three things. So if that's the case, what you've got to look at is whether or not this first thing is something times itself, and whether or not this second thing is something times itself. So the first thing is going to be x times x, the second thing is going to be 5 times 5, and if that's the case, we do x plus 5, x minus 5. In a slightly more complicated, but pretty similar way, if we have a look at question F here, we've got 4x squared minus 9y squared. Now there's no letter that goes into both of them which is the same. There's no number that goes into both of them that's the same. So if we have a look at the first thing here, 4x squared is 2x times 2x. So we're going to put 2x there and a 2x there. Now the second thing here, that's something times by itself. It's 3y times by 3y. We're going to put a 3y in both of them. One of them's going to be positive and one of them's going to be negative. Now, what we're going to be doing tomorrow is we're going to be looking at two sets of questions. The first set of questions, we'll be looking at the slightly easier factorising, which is this sort of stuff here. We should be able to rattle through that quite quickly. The second set of questions that we're going to look at is going to look at more of these things here, where you've got to decide, first of all, whether or not it's only one bracket or whether or not it's two brackets, and then sometimes being able to spot the difference of two squares. And again, what I would do if I was you, I'd watch this video over again and just see whether or not you can pick up, see which one's which, and understand why we factorise that way. Okay, thank you very much, boys and girls, and you should now start to look at the second video once you've made the notes and once you've gone over this video a couple of times. Okay, thank you.